the day. We are not entirely raw, but what are your thoughts on an entirely raw food diet?
And the data does not bear it out. And so they looked at long-term raw foodists and actually deficient in a number of nutrients that you'd think they'd be getting tons of because they eat so many fruits and vegetables.
All right, so you guys heard it for yourself from Mr. Golden Globes Fountain of Youth, author of the book 1,000 Ways to Die. He's now spoken and reset the standard of what is doing it wrong here. Now, raw veganism is now considered doing it wrong. So if you are a raw vegan or you are someone who's considering doing the raw vegan diet, Michael Greger has now deemed it to be insufficient.
But I have to put out a warning to the vegans, but a lot of those vegans will eat anything as long as it didn't have a face and it didn't have a mother. But if you're talking about French fries and vegan cupcakes and the like, having components of saturated fat and refined flour and a lot of sugar, it turns out, much to their chagrin, that the graph on the right, coronary heart disease incidence, that red line is the more animal products you eat, the more you die, and the dotted line above it is an unhealthy plant-based diet. You die even faster. Okay, and that's very consistent with the Nurse's Health, right? That more carbohydrates, refined carbohydrates, is worse than eating animals.
You can see here on one side, it's clear that the raw vegan diet's not going to work. It's now considered doing it wrong. And on the other side, you have the junk food vegan diet, which is considered to be worse than the standard American diet. How many options do vegans have left? Okay, so imagine this graph. And imagine if the standard Americans stopped consuming processed sugars and processed carbohydrates, what that would do to our health. Where they've already confirmed that here, not consuming animal products, but consuming high amounts of processed carbohydrates leaves you in a worse condition. But I'm sure it's just the meat. I'm sure it's just the meat and the cholesterol. When we're looking at risk factors, we're only going to talk about those specific things, although we've seen here that those people who are not even eating the animal products are doing worse off. You can't change what you used to do to yourself, and that's unfortunate because these guidelines change and they discover new things every year, and they update their manuals, but you can't update your past. Your past is set in stone. So hopefully the risk is worth it, trying to figure out what the right way to do the vegan diet is. But at this point, it's starting to become obvious that there's more ways to do it wrong than to do it right. And if you make one false move on your method and you do it wrong, or even you do it wrong in the way that used to be considered doing it right, then you're on your own.